Welcome everybody, this is Jason Secrest. We are going to go through a cool little cartoon Illustrator tutorial here. We're going to walk you through it step by step. First thing I would do is go to the description, and then there is a little cat hairball anchor points, and we are just going to be following directly along with that. First thing I want to do is File, Place, find your anchor template, and we are going to place that into the first layer. Next thing I want to do is come over to our layer menu, and then we are going to drop down and we want to create a template. So what that's going to do is lock it out. It will also give it a 50% opacity, so it's a little bit easier to trace. Let's create a new layer. I'm going to double click this and let's call it inking. I also want to double click this just so we can see the difference. Let's make it violet today. And that's just so you can see it over our red anchor point. That's all why we did that. Alright, so I've already torn off some of the tools we're going to be using. One, you can do that, but this is more for when we start doing all of our shortcuts. You'll actually see these highlight, and so you'll know what tool I'm using. Alright, so let's get right into it, just so you can see how this process is going to work if this is your first video. First thing I want to do is click the pen tool. I have black, and then I have no fill. And this is how easy it is. We are just going to walk around, and we are going to just click P to reset, follow along to the anchor points. Makes our life super easy today. Good, click P. Whenever I click P, or you hear me say click P again, that is so we reset the tool. Shift C. Shift C is so we can get some fun little curves. And then I just match it up with our lines, and life is dandy. I'm going to give him a little bit more of an eyebrow. Good. Click P for the pen tool. Now if this is your first video, welcome. The other thing I want you to just be aware of is we have lots of overlapping lines. So the first thing that we do is typically just get all of our pen work done, get all the hard stuff done out of the way, and then we are going to come back, change up with our custom brushes. Then we will be cleaning up all of those overlines. So why we kind of did that is just to make our lives really, really easy when we were starting off using the pen tool. A lot of kids have frustrations when they're starting, so this is just a nice, easy way of getting some lines down, having some fun. I'm kind of okay with that one. Hold down Alt Option, see the little white arrow? I'm going to right click, transform, let's reflect, and I want that on the vertical axis. And then we'll just rotate that down a bit. Looks good. Pen tool. Let's go right over here with it. Shift C. Now if anytime you're pulling out using the convert anchor point tool, just keep it. Notice I'm still holding onto my handle, so just don't let go. So if it's going in the opposite direction you want, just hang on to it. And then also if you do let go, no biggie. We can just always come back. So I can either use the convert anchor tool again, or I can just use my white arrow, and I can come in and just modify. So with the computer we can do all sorts of things. Life is definitely not permanent. Alright, so let's do this nice little circle. I'm going to hold down Shift as well as Alt Option. That's going to keep and maintain the proportions. I already know I'm going to flip that guy. Why don't we just flip those for right now too. Click P for the pen tool. Shift C. Looks good. Drag that right on up. I'm looking at the nostril right now. Okay, looks good. Up. Sorry, habit. Drag that right on up. Now what I'm looking for on this little snout is, keep in mind there's a kind of a circle shape that's going to pop out kind of the lips of the cat, or in really quite a few of the animals. Okay, P. Let's get some big ones done. I'm going to hold down Shift, and then let's come up for the top here. Alright, Shift C. Just drag that out for the back mouth. Looks good. Inside of the mouth. We're going to have to modify one of these. So if it ever goes haywire, I'm looking at the bottom lip, by the way. Goes haywire. Just come right on back. I'm holding Shift, so that's nice and horizontal. And there we go. I see an easy one. Straight lines are easy. This is going to be a lot of the teeth. Click P. Are just going to be silhouettes. Alright, let's do this tongue. Click P. Let's go right there with it. Click P. Let's go right on back. Alright, Shift C. Let's do this one first. I'm looking at the bottom line, by the way. Let's just do white. Shift C. Let's do this back corner. Just drag those right on up. I'm going to do Shift C again. I just want to see if I can get it a little bit more rounded. Notice I'm on the white arrow, by the way. Now, if this is also one of your first videos, my left hand, I've got my right hand on the mouse, and then my left hand is very much by the on the keyboard. Just because we do shortcuts all the time in Illustrator. I feel like I use them way more in Illustrator than I do in Photoshop. Alright, circle. I'm assuming that's our circle. I'm holding down Shift as well as Alt Option. I'm just using my arrow keys. Looks good. Let's use a new tool. Click C. That is the shortcut for our scissor. So anytime we get very big overlap lines, that's a kind of a good time to just come in and get rid of them. Okay, I'm just kind of spot checking the face here. Alright, good. Let's zoom out. Let's do this back line. Click P. I'm might modify these tufts a little bit. Good, let's come right on down. Shift C. Now, since these are straight, I can come down to this bottom one. And I only have to do one. So usually the rule of thumb is if I can only do one of the anchor points and get the curve, that's way easier than trying to go to the corner and trying to do it. Alright, let's do this belly first. Let's click. Let's go right onto that line here. Let's go right over here. I'm going to go Shift C. Okay, that works out pretty well. Now we're going to do this whole big outer shape here. Point here. Points. I'm going to go right on this red line. Click the point. Hold down Shift. It'll be a nice straight line all the way across. A little cat ankle. And we'll come on to the top. So let's go Shift C. Back leg. Let's come over this one. Now, I don't have my smart guides on. I think it's irritating to watch on video, but that definitely helps out way more. Just so you guys are aware as we are doing this. So if you ever see me just pulling, that's because I can't tell where the anchor point is. Like that. Perfect. We'll just bring that one right on back. Shift C. Looking at the top of the foot. Good. Let's go P. Right on that red line. Hold down Shift, straight line. Let's come right to the top. I'm just looking at her. Okay. Just looking at the cat's shoulder. That's all that was. Hold down Shift. Let's just go right on up. I might just bring that guy over. I'm going to do the scissor tool. This is all going to get deleted, just so we're not getting confused with what we're looking at. So things that are going to happen is this belly, I'm just really looking at how I want that to play out right now. Belly, arm. Okay. Right onto the red line. Hold Shift. Right on up. Click P again. I see straight lines, so let's get those done. Alright, this one's going to be goofy. That one's going to be goofy. I'm looking at the top, by the way. There we go. little tuft. Alright, let's zoom in on the feet here. Just checking angles here. Keep in mind all that's going to get deleted until it's hanging off. Okay. Reset. Looks good. Click drag. Now if you get some that you like, you could totally just copy paste each one over, and you can also just do the same thing that we did before. Select them, bring them over, and then right click, transform, and then just do the reflect. So you could do that if you find ones that worked out for you. These are all going to taper, so that should be okay. Alright, let's see how we did. Let's see what the damage is. I've got good news, guys. That was it. Hard stuff is over. Hard stuff is over. Who thought that little belly would drive me nuts today? Okay. Save check. Now for this, I usually like duplicating. You guys can feel free. This is just all the strokes. I always just duplicate. That's just so if ever we go too far, keep in mind if you guys are at school or something like that, there's multiple days, multiple periods that are typically taking place. And so this is always just a way of saving each step. So we can always go back and just in case something happens, and or if I go too far kind of ahead and I want to come back and modify something, I've always got those. So now we are going to have some fun. So we are going to find our brushes. I don't see mine, so we're just going to come over. Let's go brushes. Now you're going to notice that I'll just do cartoon brushes. So that'll be hanging out in user defined. Now if you have not saved those, I do have a video somewhere in the playlist that'll just show you how to install those. That takes 4 minutes. Very, very quick process. And then we have some very cool little line variation. Alright. So I've got black, for most part it's going to go black arrow on this. And let's just kind of give you a nice simple rule of thumb. Rule of thumb would be this. Anytime, let's use this line, you see a line that's floating and it's going to come out into the middle here, and it's floating into space, that typically says this line is going to be tapered. Since this one's both going to be tapered, I'm going to do our nice little tapered on both sides. Now if I'm looking at this one, since this one's going to be overlapping over the nose, so that's going to be touching a line, this one's going to be floating in space. Now we can use one of the ones that are tapered. So it's going to be fat over here, tapered on the corner. This is going to get overlapped, so I want a fat to skinny. Other way. And you will notice that on my brushes, I saved, it's basically the same brush, I just brought it over twice, and I don't know if on the cartoon brushes if I have both directions or not. I totally forget. I don't remember. That's gonna come through. Good. Let's do another new brush. So this is just gonna be tapered on, or it's gonna be tapered in the middle, and it's gonna be fat on the end. Now this whole inside is gonna be really, really dark. So this whole edge is gonna kind of disappear. That's touching. I want to use the same one. You're going to notice right now all I'm doing is just getting the brushes down. Just kind of seeing where we're at. And then we can switch up the thickness. Let's see what that one does. That doesn't bother me. Let's go tapered on both ends. That's going to go fat to taper. I'm going to shrink that down just so we can see it. Now everything still is this stroke, so if you see something, you can still really easily modify things. Alright, since these are going to be touching on both sides, this is definitely going to be a taper here. I think we're just going to do taper all the way around. Same thing, taper. I do the same thing. And this is just to keep it sort of looking the same way, just to have it uniform. Alright, I'm just going to select all these guys. Hopefully we drew it the right way. So if you know that they're all going to have the same type of taper, there you go. That's going to be fat to skinny. I think I'm going to want tapered. What I'm looking for is a thick line on the bottom. I want fat, and that one's going to be tapered over here. There we go. Tapered on both ends. Was that it? Holy cow. Holy cow. Too easy, guys. Okay, so that was the hard part. Hard part is over. Now what we're looking for is, now we can really just stylize it. So right now everything's really still just a stroke of one. So what I'm going to look to do is start to just kind of keep going through, just fattening different things up. And I'm going to start with 2 and just see how that goes. Keep in mind I can always drop things as well. Yeah, let's go up with that. Belly. We did not change that one. What do I want? I want fat to taper. And when we're doing our strokes here, I can just put it in right now. Our fake little light source is kind of going to be coming up, and then it's going to drop down. So you can kind of see that I'm going to want a lot more weight kind of on the bottom of things. So that's what we're kind of peeking at. That's better. I'm going to go 1.5 on that. So you can do points, by the way. I don't know. I kind of like it. Alright, that's how easy that was. So right now, this is a good time to go File, Save. Now, if you did not duplicate the last layer, wherever this one's going to be hiding, alright, so if you did not save this one, this is the one that usually I go back to all the time, since this one already has all of the brushes, as well as it's still in a stroke. So I think it's way easier to just come in, grab an anchor point, kind of just mess around with the handles, because the next step we're going to be expanding everything. So this is just kind of a good time to modify things. So what we are going to do, this is kind of our little boogie check here. We want things to be still overlapping. I just want anything that's going to be deleted. So any kind of just another little rule of thumb is I want these edges completely over the line I want. So this inside edge, that's what we're going to be coming in and deleting. So what I'm looking for is I don't want any weird gaps. So let's say this thing's floating out here. That would be a weird gap. Or if it's got a funky little corner hanging out here, that would be a weird gap. So that's what we're checking. But if we follow along, most of them should have an overlap, because that's how I drew it. Okay, so I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to duplicate it. So notice as I keep going, I just hide it and then lock it out, just so I don't do anything to it. Alright, I am going to click the little arrow. That is going to select everything. I've got the black arrow, and I'm holding down Shift. So what I'm looking to do is just get rid of my solid, just so that nothing goofy happens. Object expand. I'm going to do it again. I don't want the fill, just do the stroke. So now everything is a big fancy shape. So shape, shape, shape. Alright, so now we're going to have some fun. So now we are going to use our eraser. So this is our process. I select the line with the black arrow. Shift E is our little eraser here. And then I can just come in. And what I'm looking for, and I can hide this so we can see it. What I'm looking for is just all those nice clean edges. Shift E, I want that hair to be in front. So any weird overlapping, that's what we're getting rid of. And I'll just zoom in even more so you guys can see it. So I select it, Shift E. And if you guys want to change the size, bracket. So if you find the P key that we've been using, the brackets are right next to it. That was a question from yesterday. Shift E. And I do like zooming in just so what I'm looking to do is just go right through the middle of all of our strokes. So I don't want to go too far either. Little ones are easy. You can usually just click. That's going to go hiding under there. And you can't, so this is a good little learning point. Everything is still separate. So nothing is grouped yet. And whenever we're really zoomed in like this, just to double check is you know what you're getting rid of. So that's going to be the back. shame, shame. So like this little guy right here, that would be a thing I would go back to my inking layer, and I would bring back over a fet to a taper. Now let's just do it. Why not just do it? So I can just delete it. Come on back. So I want this one to be fet to taper. Now the trick is just where did I hide my brushes? Good. So I'm going to go Control C. And then I'm just going to go Control F, paste in front. That one has not been expanded yet, so expand. There we go, Shift E. So like just little things like that, I think just saves time. Shift E. That's going to be in front. Shift E. Alright, he's hacking. He's hacking. Now, little things. So whenever I say like the double check, this would be one that, oops, we didn't do. I'm just going to go Shift E for now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that so it touches. But I'll just finish all of our lines here. I say all that I can get rid of. I'm holding Shift. Okay, so at this point, here's another good save check. The next step is going to be pretty much moving into our color. So before we expand everything, just kind of double check. Everything is still separate, so I can still move things if I needed to. But for the sake of argument, I say we're probably good. I like duplicating, so I'm going to duplicate it. Just deal with it. Alright, so I'm going to select everything. I am going to... I say we're good. So I'm going to come over to our Pathfinder. I'm going to unite. Now, if anything fills in, so as soon as I go unite, if anything fills in, more than likely something wasn't expanded. So just go back, just Control Z, and then click on whatever just filled in, and just double check that everything was expanded the right way. So notice if we kind of backtrack, we did expand twice. Usually it'll catch something, so that's why we did it twice. Alright, object, drop down to live paints. I'm going to click make. We'll have some fun little boxes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go new. I'm going to go file place. I think this one was under K.